Hello again, it.Hope, and welcome to another video. And this one's going to be an interesting topic. It's going to be video game related. And I was actually going to do this around like last week, but I thought, well, I want to do something different. And this topic is going to be about Atari's new console. Now, this news has been going on for a while, since last month. And I was going to do this video last week, but obviously I did my sort of my experience of a comic book store I was in a few years ago in the city I live in. So that's why I did something different. But this one is going to be about my thoughts about the Atari Box, if you want to call it that. Now, what's basically been stated about this console is that Atari is supposed to be coming back into the console market. They're supposed to be coming back and returning, re-entering the market again after 21 years since their last console, the Atari Jaguar, which was discontinued in 1996. It was their last console, and things changed for Atari over time. One thing with it was they were actually bought by a company in 2001 called Infogrames, which, they're sort of like a developer company. I've heard about them before. I know they've done several things. But Atari over time changed ever since, their time stopping to be, when they stopped being a first-party developer. So from 1996 to even now, things have changed a lot, since then. And Atari isn't the same Atari that they used to be back in the 70s, the 80s and the 90s. It's actually Infogrames who actually changed their name to Atari. So even though it's under that name, it's not the original company, if you know what I mean. It's still Atari, but you know what I mean, yeah. And they came out last month during E3 that Atari was going to be coming out with a new console, and it confused a lot of people, thinking, really? Atari's actually making a new console after so long? Because they actually went bankrupt in 2013, and they started gaining a lot more money and profit through mobile games and in-app purchases, and that's what they've been doing for the last time. And I know they had an Atari compilation. They had 2 volumes for both PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. I actually have both on PlayStation 4, and they are good collections. Great to play the old Atari stuff on, the newer consoles. And that's what they've only really been doing lately in these last few years. I know, long ago, during the PS3, the 360 Wii era, Atari released a lot of certain games during that time, and even now they don't really release stuff. But anyway, what is my thoughts about this? I'm both intrigued but kind of skeptical, because we don't really know what the what is going to be running inside the machine. Atari did release concept images of what the console will look like. Which the design of it looks really, really nice. There's actually 2 designs. One is the classic wood grain look, which was on the Atari 2600 back in the 70s. And the other one is the sort of black and red, which I think the design of it looks pretty stylish. It really, really does. It looks really, really nice. And I think for whatever we get from this console, it will be really, really amazing. And what's also been stated is that the console will run both the classic games and the modern games. So it's basically been stated that this will be a modern mainstream console which will go up against PlayStation 4, PS4 Pro, Xbox One, Xbox One S, and the Nintendo Switch. And it will be interesting to see if that actually does become the way it is. But one thing that makes me a bit skeptical is, for one thing, is that this console is supposed to be crowdfunded. And crowdfunding, overall I think crowdfunding can be a good thing, but it can also be a bad thing. Now, we've seen many projects over the years going through crowdfunding, websites, Kickstarter, Indiegogo, a lot of those sort of sites. And with this being a mainstream console that Atari's making, is it a good thing to do that? You know what I mean? I don't understand that when they did the company, like the CEO said, oh, well, we got like, we've got like tons of money and stuff, but why go through Kickstarter or, those certain crowdfunding sites? You know what I mean? Maybe they don't have enough money. I don't really know. You know what I mean? I don't know what Atari does nowadays for stuff. And the only console I've known that's gone through Kickstarter is the Ouya. And we all know about the Ouya, the little Android console that was released back in 2013. But it didn't last that long. It lasted like 2 years. Because the company, they, as I said, they were losing money towards the end of the Ouya's life. And unfortunately, they were unable to get like true exclusives on the Ouya. I think overall the Ouya was a great product, but it lacked lots of exclusives. Because if you were making something for the Ouya, it was on Android anyway, so you didn't have to buy an Ouya to play the game. And that's what kind of lacked it, even though you did have physical controls and you could connect it to a television, you know what I mean? And then we also had the Coleco Chameleon, or the Retro VGS, if you remember that story, which was supposed to be a sort of indie retro console, which brought back the days of the cartridge gaming, you know what I mean, with the, the NES, all like, the Nintendo consoles, the Sega consoles, Atari, all those sort of consoles. Like even going back to the Nintendo 64, they were trying to revamp that market, show what it's like, to play those games again. Like without the whole installing thing, and that's all it is. And I remember when that became a thing, I think the idea of it was really, really good, but because of everything going on, fake prototypes, delays of showing what's happening with the console, it kind of made a lot of people skeptical. And unfortunately, the project went, it didn't happen because I think the main man of the company, Mike Kennedy, were called. He just wouldn't show anything about it because they didn't have a project. They didn't have a prototype. And they did the whole Super Nintendo Mini Jaguar thing happening at that toy fair, I think for last year it was, or the year before. And obviously a lot of people thought, well, we know what this is really. It's not real. And I think that's what's kind of making a lot of people sceptical, because if they do go through that way, when will it release? You know what I mean? Will it release next year? Will it release the following year? How much will this thing be? Because we really, really don't know what's inside the machine. I think once they do show something, it will be interesting thinking, okay, well, this is what's gonna be inside, because it's supposed to be based off PC technology. And I think another thing that's kind of worrying a lot of people is storage capacity. Will this use Blu-rays, or will it be a digital-only console? Will it use USBs, for its games? Will it? I don't think it'll do that. Will it use SD cards for its games? We don't know. And if this becomes a digital-only console, a lot of people won't buy it. With people in video games and stuff, if you've got a digital-only device or a digital-only console, like something like the Ouya, people won't buy it because they like to buy games physically. And if they don't like the console, and they can't get that money back, you know what I mean? And that's the thing that kind of scares a lot of people. Because if they did go down that path, if it was a digital-only console, what would happen to storage? What hard drive size would be inside? There's so many questions of this that we really, really don't know. We just have to basically wait and see. But my thoughts about it is, it will be interesting to see what happens. I'm kind of optimistic, but I think once we are shown something properly, then I'll be interested to see what this thing could do. Because there was so much questions and rumours about this, people saying, is it an NES Classic Edition? Is it a modern console? I've heard people say it's kind of part NES Classic and part Ouya. You know what I mean? So, so my final thoughts is, overall, I don't really have any thoughts about it. I'm interested to see what this thing can do, what this thing does. But once Atari fully shows what's going to be inside the machine, I think that's when I'll be a lot happy about it and to see what's happening. So that's my thoughts overall, really, with the Atari Box. I think overall we'll just have to wait and see what happens with the machine. So I just want to say thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'd love to hear what your thoughts about this are. You know, what do you think of the Atari Box? You know, what do you think you know, we will see? You know what I mean? I think also third-party support is kind of a sorry. I think third-party support is kind of a bit of a thing as well. You know what I mean? Mascots. Again, if this is a true mainstream modern console, you know, mascots, third-party support, that's other things you've got to think about. You know what I mean? You know, will they bring back E.T.? And a lot of people are joking about that, but maybe they could bring back E.T. I don't know. But yeah, I just wanted to give you my thoughts about that. So I'd love to hear what your thoughts about this are. So I just want to say thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and my next video will be uploaded this Tuesday coming, the 25th of July. So I just want to say thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you all later. Bye.